Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is Apostle Crystal Lee. Excited to be here with you this morning. We are live again for 111 days of kinetic prayer. This dimension has been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. And we are sealing the mysteries of the unseen realm. We're going to talk about the eyes some more today. Go back over some conversations from yesterday. We're going to just take a look at the bigger picture. This is an amazing, amazing time that we're in. And the Father is absolutely recalibrating us for the revelation and the manifestation that He is thrusting us into in this time that we are in. And it's absolutely marvelous in my eyes. I don't even know actually um, how to place all of my emotions right now. I'm very excited, very excited. But my excitement right now is not like one that's won the lottery. It's not like one that doesn't have an expectation that's shocked or in awe or surprised, although what the Father is doing is very beyond, I should say, very beyond what I had imagined. I had a specific way of seeing it, and I had written a specific way of seeing it. I was believing for this specific way of seeing it, but how the Father is doing it is absolutely what He said. He said, I'll do exceeding abundantly above all that you can ask or think. But it was something else that He said. He said, according to the power that is at work in you. When that power is at work, when it is active, when it is kinetic, it is moving. You understand what I'm saying? At a forceful rate of speed, and it is making contact. It's intercepting the issues. It's intercepting your adversaries. It is actually transferring this power to every person that you're supposed to come into contact with. And understand, we're not always naturally coming into contact with these people. Sometimes we're spiritually coming into contact with the people that we need to come into contact with. But this is the bigger picture, where we are seeing things differently, where our prayer begins to shift, what we're thinking begins to shift, how we desire a thing begins to be His desire, and He begins to show us how to operate the unseen realm, how to operate in this kinetic place, and how to move through the earth, doing the things that He's ordained for us to do. We were talking about this some months ago when we were having the conversation about uh, being introduced to the earth and what the purpose of the sons were in the earth. And that introduction is necessary. If you would reintroduce yourself as a son in this season, the earth will respond. The Bible declares that those that would begin to position themselves properly would see the earth yield her increase. You know what I'm saying? And so we are able, as sons of Yah, to begin to declare to the earth the already spoken declaration of Yah. And it's when we begin to declare what He's declaring, it's like that bank account that is the corporate bank account that needs two signatures, that needs two codes. You got to both turn your keys at the same time in order to unlock the treasure. That's what it's like when we align with Yah. The earth identifies us as the sons of Yah, and He's already turned His key. So when we put our key in that hole of eternity, when we put our key in that hole, that eternal hole, it takes us out of our natural chronological time into the kairos of Yah, and everything begins to open up for us. And so I'm just excited about what the Father is doing. I seem to be finding more and more the things that the Father's been speaking with me about. And yesterday, my prayer was very specific. I began to talk to the Father about, okay, now you're opening these doors, and what's getting ready to be in the hands is bigger than what I've known personally anybody to have. And so what's the wisdom of what you're putting in my hands? What's the wisdom of what you're putting in my hands? I need to know the depths of what you're thrusting me into. I have the idea of what you're thrusting me into, but I need to know the depths of this so that I can, in wisdom, operate the systems that you're presenting to me, so that I am not any longer connected to these other systems that come to capture me. I'm no longer a part of that. I'm in the divine big picture. I'm in the divine big picture of Yah. I see things bigger now. I see things with more depth. I'm not seeing it in just that one dimension. I'm seeing it in facets and, just pieces that I've never seen before. I'm seeing it from different perspectives that I've never seen it before. And this is an exciting time to be a son. Somebody type that in the chat room. This is an exciting time to be a son, because the sons before us were not able to see this day. Okay, we know Moshe was allowed to see some parts of this day, and we know Elijah was able to see parts of this day because they were on the Mount of Transfiguration with the Mashiach. However, the rest of the prophets had to declare what they would never see in their time. You understand? But we are the prophets that are redeclaring what they've spoken. That has been our job. We were redeclaring what the prophets have already declared, what Yah has already said. And now we are in this time beginning to see the unfolding of the secrets of Yah, beginning to see the thing that Daniel shut up and that John sealed. We're beginning to see these things, and it's absolutely magnificent. I'm telling you, it's a good time to be a son. I've got Prophet Marlise in the room with me. Prophet Marlise, good morning.
Good morning, greetings, and good morning, blessings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love for you to share what your position is from yesterday, what's on the forefront of your mind from yesterday's conversation. Can you do a brief recap? I'm looking for our brother this morning. I know he's readjusting to the 2 hours behind. He's been in the time with us and an hour
Mhm.
behind, and now he's back in 2 hours behind. So he's probably pulling up the rear this morning, but we'll trust Yah that he'll get here with us. Go ahead, Prophet.
Amen. Um, we were talking about the seeing, and we were talking about how the ex- the supernatural experiences and encounters, if you will. And I was given um, the account of me having a having good morning, having a apostle, having the experience of being able to see and believing what I saw, believing, knowing how to accept what God shows you in the spirit, and then also being able to um, understand what that means in the spiritual, I mean, in the physical realm, as you see in the spiritual. Because see, a lot of people see, but they don't believe what they're seeing. They don't accept what the Lord is showing them. And He shows it in multiple forms, multiple ways. There's multiple um, ways of seeing things. And we were talking about the man who said, uh, I see men like trees, and how the Lord would take you into the spiritual realm to see first before He brings you into the physical realm to see. And being able to know how to utilize that, knowing how to accept it. And so those are the things, and just being able to balance that out and know that when you're able to see how to handle it enough that you don't disconnect from it, you don't lose it, because some people, they see and they run. Others, they see, and then of course they use it to their advantage. And then others do exactly what Yah intends for them to do. They understand that they're able to interpret, because sometimes it it may come like how I experienced the leprechaun. Then others, it may come in a way that is even more profound, because seeing things in animation or cartoons, I didn't get. I'm like, what the heck am I seeing? That's okay, Lord. I'm tripping. But knowing that when the Lord shows you, He's showing it to you for that reason. Understand what He's showing you. Don't deny it. Don't, put it off. but go deeper. Understand, Lord, what are you showing me? What is it that I'm supposed to get out of this? Why is it that I'm seeing it in this manner? And then just believing what he is actually saying, what he's showing you. So yeah,
Man, that's powerful. You had me typing away. I was tickled on the what do we see when you were talking? I was thinking, ooh, what does what you see in the spiritual realm mean in your natural realm? Like if
mm-hmm,
you grasp that what you're seeing, what does that mean in the natural? Because when John was in his revelation, when Yah was allowing him to see the revelation of the things he was seeing, the word declares it as the revelation of the Mashiach, right? So the
mm-hmm,
Mashiach is actually guiding him through what is coming, what's coming to the earth, what is getting ready to happen. And it's just amazing because what he was actually seeing in that realm is actually happening in this realm. So can you imagine what that looks like if we would just take hold, if we would just lay hold, because we're doing this every day anyway. We're dealing in the mysteries of the unseen realm every day anyway, when we're dealing in doubt and disbelief, when we're staying in this mindset of victim or whatever it is, we are actually listening to uh, an entity from another realm that is not in this realm, okay, physically, and this entity, these identifications that are of diabolic nature, are speaking or expressing their nature to be enacted by mankind. Everybody needs a spirit, and spirits are behind the operations of all men. So, what spirit are we giving residence? What are we embodying? What are we reflecting? What is the image that we have chosen to mirror? What is the image that we've chosen to reflect in the earth? Because we're going to reflect. It's not like you can opt out of the plan. You are going to reflect an image. The question is, have you chosen which image to reflect? So the other thing was the spiritual realm gives us the divine verdict of heaven for our natural realm. So how do we do what we do every day? We need to consider those things. Apostle Ace, what's your take and what's your remembrance of yesterday? Anything standing out still in your mind from yesterday?
Shalom and grand rising to each and every one.
Good morning, brother.
I guess y'all can
Great
see
getting up morning.
I yes, I was revealing. I said, "Ooh, the camera's still on."
I said, "Oh, we going all the way in this morning, brother." Okay,
That's gonna let you know
okay.
what I was doing. I was like, "Oh my father!" So
He
I did
breaking
get.
you out. He breaking you out. He's allowing the bigger picture to come forth. And
Shalom and grand rising to each and every one. And I want to say to you, Apostle, that I thank you for bringing me into this kinetic prayer discussion prayer. I'm just grateful to be a
yes,
part of what's being said. And just as you were speaking, there's so much that's first thing, not by might nor by power, but by
mm,
my spirit.
mm,
So by the spirit of Yah. And so there are many things today is by the spirit. We are in the spirit of things that was tangible. Now
mm,
we going we where we at is where we at the beginning of Genesis.
mm.
We've cycled back to Genesis.
Yes,
This end is our beginning. And
that's
so as
it.
you were talking, that I woke up with this in my spirit. Deuteronomy chapter
Mm,
30. I promise you.
yes, yes.
I was in a dream world, and I
Yes.
realized you got to get up. What time is it?
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
so this is what I woke up with. Deuteronomy chapter 30.
Yes.
And In verse 15, he says, see, I set before you this
See,
day
come
life
on.
by righteousness and death and destruction. And it's interesting. And then, it talks about, what, to things I've given you to do, but walking my laws and statutes and this and that and the other. And so as I read this, before I jumped in, I said, oh, I realized what time it was. And he says, but in the 17th verse, it said, but your heart turns away and you are not obedient and you're not drawn to way to submit to other gods, worship, and all these things. But he says, I declare, verse 18, I declare to you this day that you will surely perish. You will not prolong your days, okay, when you cross over. He says, he encourages us. He says, and this is to what you were saying, verse 19. I call heaven and earth as a witness against you this
Ah,
day that I have set before you life
life
and
and death.
death, blessings
Woo.
and curses, because you are a free agent to make your own choice between righteousness and evil.
Come on,
Therefore, choose life
choose
so
it.
both you and your children may live. And it's just interest. He encourages us. He said, I'm setting this as a witness against you. These
Yes,
earth, heaven and earth will be a witness against you based upon your obedience and disobedience. Now, it's going to be a witness and it's going to show you tangibly where you are,
that's it.
what's happening. I'm going to be a witness against you tangibly in the earth because of your disobedience or
Come on.
your obedience. Your disobedience, I will come and bring destruction in your land. I
Yes,
will do many things. The earth is going to show you. It's going to be a witness. So, in other words, when
it's
it
gonna
comes to
tell
this,
you.
it's a trial, and they're going
It's
to
gonna tell
witness
you where
to,
you at. It's gonna tell you where you at.
and this is where you at. Earth is going to open up her mouth, and
Come
heaven is
on,
going to open up. It's going to open up and say, "This is where you at. I'm going to
it's where you
reveal
at.
to you by the."
So,
Okay. Whew, okay.
yeah, that's
So
good.
this is where I was when I woke up with the scripture that came. And so, and as you were talking, I'm like, oh, okay, I see now. And
Yeah.
so it's going to be a witness against you to where
Mm,
you at. It's going to be revealed. So,
my
yeah.
Lord. Or that whistle. You know, when you get to that whistle, it get real sweet.
My
Listen,
goodness.
I'm gonna share with you guys. This is day 109 of the prayer and day 104 of the fast. We literally uh, are 3 days away. This is the third. Tomorrow will be the second, and then we'll be on the last day. This is um like even saying it, like tears are welling up in my eyes. Like seriously. And it's not a sad cry. It's like we've come to the beginning, the next phase of a work that the Father has begun in us. And all the things that we've seen. And tomorrow, I'm going to bring you guys on that are outside of the room. So y'all be ready. You don't need to be on camera or anything. You can just have, I'm going to help you get to that, put a picture of today on your avatar so that people will be able to at least see a picture. We don't want the little white guy, the little nondescript. We don't want nothing nondescript in the room. Okay, we got enough nondescript stuff in the world. But I'm just the things that the Father has done during the course of this time is undeniable for me. I have been saying, and I believe uh, to start saying this in the time when I was teaching the course, Prophet Marley's, for the the natural and spiritual health course that I was teaching. Um, and one of the things that I began to declare as we were, pulling our bodies together, that our minds were becoming whole. And I just kind of lost my thought because I'm in the zone, like for real. I just lost myself. I'm just thinking about what he's done. And I'm like, man. But our position is everything. And so here's the thought. One of the things that the Father began to show me was Again, how we don't really have a time management problem, we have a mind management problem. And how it, as the mind is being managed properly, that we begin to step into a specific way of doing things, which is a sort of time, but it depends on what time you're stepping into that makes the difference as to what the manifestation is going to be. And so I was looking at some things and I was on a journey and I identified, people have said, take 21 days for a new habit, take this for a new habit. And the Father said, no, he said it's 180 that proves. He said 90 proves the direction, but 180 settles it. We've been on 111 days course. That's past the 90 mark, so that should prove it. And now what should settle it is as we go to that next leg of the race, right? To see all of the settlement, the establishment of those things in us, don't not allowing anything else to come in and to steal from us in this space. So here's what the Father gave me for the description. And with some of these things we kind of already communicated, but he's giving it to me in a little different way. So as we mature, the awareness of our limitless potential deepens, encompassing feats like walking on water and passing walls and transcending elements, a testament to the boundless possibilities that are inherent in our identity as the sons of Yah. If you look in scripture, you'll see these things happening. Men outrunning chariots, men strong as lions, and just all kinds of things. And these things are not abnormal. These things are not uncommon. We think of them as uncommon because we have not allowed them to be our normal, But I believe the Father's calling us to a new normal. That's been a thing that people have been talking about since the COVID scamdemic. Oh, this new normal, new normal, new normal. Yeah, they have prophesied, but they have prophesied a lie because the new normal is not what they created. It's what the Father had already released before the foundations of time, that the sons were now increasing in because the wells were being undug, dug out again. So central to this exploration is the role of the eyes in navigation. And we talked about this yesterday, and we'll go back to that, those points of what the eyes are for. Their significance in focus, both naturally and spiritually. We understand we have to focus with our natural eyes, just like we focus with our spiritual eyes. But it's an undeniable place, and maturity enhances the operability of these mechanisms, and it stretches our capability and our capacity of the mechanism, aligning with the divine perspective that transcends mere outward appearance. We're not just beholding what's outside of us for the purpose of just looking at it, but there are some things that we are to do with our natural eyes that position us. And so the question came up, what is life without the eyes? It is a life that needs another earthly guide. Okay? The eyes in the natural realm give us a divine advantage, though. So even though they are earth devices or earth mechanisms, they give us a divine advantage. This advantage, it is also an edge. And in our course and in our direction, this is where the edge comes at. Because there's yet a bigger picture. That the eye, notice I went from eyes to eye, right? That the eye spiritually affords us the inherent right as monarchs to bear the noble assignment of demonstrating the profound expression of creation that goes far beyond the place of mere spectation. The privilege to interpret. It is a privilege for your eye, your spiritual eye, to interpret. With the help of the Holy Spirit, you're interpreting. You are decoding, you are identifying, and then directing the ongoing storyline regarding creation. Directing it. Adam directed the storyline. He's in the garden. He's saying what the Father has said about what he's created. And now he's beginning to direct the narrative because he recognizes nothing that is now being defined, nothing that I'm defining, nothing that I am aligning with you on concerning these creatures, even is in compatibility with me. So he begins to identify nothing here compares, nothing here is compatible. And in that, the Father says, good, I'm glad you can see that. Now go to sleep, right? The bigger picture for sons of manifestation is to stand in the original creation, our original placement as monarchs and magistrates, judges and kings, as the voice of Yah, the eyes of Yah, the hands, the feet, the mind of Yah, to manifest regardless of what the natural eyes can see, the reality that's from a former time, because it's the Father's history that is a mystery to us until he reveals it to us. I implore you to step into this manifestation, a declaration of Yah declared from the foundation of time. It's not new to us, it's just simply being revealed. Apostle Ace.
Okay, there we go.
Yes, sir.
that was that was some good stuff. That's
He said
apostle.
that's good stuff.
That's prophetess Melissa. That was good
Yes,
stuff.
yes,
Oh my God. You know, that's sometimes it's so full and so it's, for the lack of a word, so profound and so eye opening to connect the dots when you see so clearly what
yes.
God is doing as things are being because being mature
Mm.
and seeing and so and it goes to we kind of touched on it yesterday. You may get on it today about the seven thunders, you know,
Oh,
and the seven seals, the seven trumpets. You know, that
yeah.
goes all that goes back to the beginning.
Open it
Revelation,
up.
we see the revelation of Yahweh goes back to the first, the 6 days of creation and the seventh day.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is we are in the spirit of that, which was the spirit in the beginning.
Yes.
So now we at the we this is the Genesis that was
Mhm.
or is.
Yeah.
So
The Genesis
so
that was, is, and
yeah,
shall
and,
be.
and so
Yes.
now so we and so that area of seeing and being mature. And so here's a scripture that stands out here because as you was talking about the eye, you know, the things that stands out when we talk about that eye, not Revelation, but Matthew chapter 6
Mm-hmm.
says where 21, chapter 6, verse 21. He said, the way your treasure is, there is the heart will be also. Verse
Yeah.
22, this is the Yeshua saying, the lamp of the body is the eye.
That's it.
Therefore, if
The
the
lamp.
eye is righteous, your whole body will be
Full
full
of
of
light.
light. But
Yes.
but if your eye is wicked, your body is full of darkness. If
Yeah.
then the light within you is darkness, how
Mm.
great is the darkness is. So
Yes.
darkness has darkness is a light that doesn't give light.
That's it.
So there's that eye. So we got as you were sharing about the eyes, and then yet there is that eye. So when we come into maturity, then we
Mm.
come into that eye.
Yes.
You know, so it took me to First Corinthians, yes, First Corinthians chapter 13, and it
Yeah.
says, you know, verse 9, for we know in part, we prophesy in part. But you mentioned that, but when that which is perfect comes, that which is in part or imperfect is
Woo.
vanished away.
Done away with.
So
Yes.
therefore, when we come into maturity, then our eye we begin to see totally different because we can only if we only in part if the glass is only half full or half empty we can only prophesy where we at.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that which is imperfect becomes perfect now. Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a child anymore. I'm a grown man. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't see as a child. I see now as a grown son. You
Yeah.
see,
That's the way to go.
so they
Mature
get into
son.
the area of Revelation, talk about the seven thunders. You know,
Yeah.
there's seven thunders. So there's the first thunder, the second thunder, the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth thunder. Where they talk about the seven thunders? What does
Yeah.
seven mean? Completion.
Yes.
Seven means completion. So we come into the full knowledge of truth, not in part. Only
Not
the Son of the seventh thunder begin to understand the mysteries and the things that are revealed in the seals. So the
yeah.
seals are open. So people say, well, I said, well, we are in the seventh seal is open because now it's being revealed the mysteries and the secrets by the sons of thunder that have
That's
been interpreted as the voice of the trumpet by the spirit to what we see as we blow the shofar. And yet here we are now coming back to the very beginning to Genesis because it was done by what? The voice of thunder.
that's it.
The spirit of Yah has always been associated with thunder. And
And
so
the
the
voice.
only
And the
uh-huh.
voice.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting where we're at now. We're at the end of that beginning of the seventh day of Holy, the day of Holy, the Holy
Yeah.
seventh day. So we coming to the completion of this right now. That was the beginning. So now here we at the end, and so now the end is now the beginning.
Yes.
the,
Yes.
the end of age is now the beginning of age by the Spirit
Mhm.
of God. And so it's interesting, Apostle, that when we even look at how Yah was a witness to the people of Israel that came out of Egypt, because they
Yes.
came out of Egypt with many languages. And he
Yeah.
started to say, I want to have a conversation with you. Here's kinetic prayer. I'm going to
Which
have
people
conversation.
are so listen, which many people are so offended by right now, because how dare me have a revelation of prayer that they have not had. I'm sure
Absolutely.
I'm not the only person being given, and I've said this throughout this time. It's kinetic. It's called kinetic for me, but the system, it may be called something else for somebody else. But that's not the point. The point is that we operate the system. No matter
Absolutely.
what language the Father has given us concerning the system, to teach
Mhm.
the people that we learn to
Mhm.
operate the system. Go ahead, Apostle.
And so he says, now I want to have a conversation with you so the people can believe me through you forever.
Yeah.
But we know the situation what took place because you read that on yesterday. Now Yahweh was a witness to the people. And so now, where we're at now in the second half of the spirit to this, now Yahweh says, now you're the sons by the spirit, because in Acts chapter 1, chapter 2, that was the
Yes.
shift by the
That's it.
spirit. He said, now you're going to be a witness of me. I don't want to be a
Come
witness to
on.
you to show you who I am. I want to be a witness to you so people can show, so I can show the people who I am through you. Because what took place then took place in the upper room with what? Thunder.
That's
And he
it.
distributed language so that
The voice.
now he could witness to the people globally. See, now we are in the othermost parts of the world now, where Yahweh said, now I'm going to be a witness to the people through the sons of thunder. Because
Period.
the first thunder did they hear? That's the first
Mm-hmm.
trumpet. All the
Mm-hmm.
way to the sixth trumpet or thunder. The thunder comes through the prophets of Yah, not through the prophets of Baal, because the prophets of
Now,
Baal lie. They
they
do all
fail and
kinds
they
of
lie.
come on now.
Oh
So
my
when we
God.
understand that when Yah said, now this is my altar is going to consume with fire,
That's it.
consuming fire, spirit. Not all what you do, all that you do, all the conjuring, you want to magic and all this you want to
Come on
conjure up,
now. Come on.
but by my spirit.
That's it. It's not by
And
your
so,
might. It's not by your power. But people are teaching the people something different. You got to recognize that how you're supposed to be operating as a son is not according to your own ideas. It's not according to your own language. Matter of fact, none of the ideas you have today are your own. Not one of them. But you got to
mm-hmm.
vet them. Go ahead, Apostle.
And so now we in a position, y'all say, now here's the seventh seal that is revealed. Everything has been uncovered.
Uncovered.
Everything is being uncovered. The seventh seal is open.
I'm
But
telling you.
now, how the communication is,
Mm.
who's going to communicate what is now being revealed, coming is complete truth, not
Oh,
partial,
wow. Not in parts.
but complete knowledge. And
Mm.
only the sons of Yah that now come forth to hear exactly what Yah is saying to repeat. Because it's interesting, Apostle, the prophet, it's interesting to me that Yah, how is everybody going to get this?
Come on now.
And so it's interesting that you got, because you know the religious complex system. It says, "Oh, we hear when he comes with the word, everybody's going to hear this word and going to get it." And so now we got to push the Bible. We got to go into remote places. We got to do this. We got to use the electronics. And we got to do this because we know every nation and every country village
Oh my
don't have
God.
all the electricity. And so, y'all, how is this going to be done? How is
Come on.
it done? Because
Come
y'all
on.
said, listen, Ace, remember my people are scattered throughout
Come on now.
the world.
That's it.
I scatter them. And it's a part of my plan to scatter them. But
Yep.
it's something that every country, every village, every city, every household got in common.
Light
Everything. And that is
or not.
that's the weather. But
Come
listen,
on.
check this out. It is the weather.
Come on.
At light,
Come on.
there's darkness. There is the weather. Environment. Y'all said, this is how I'm going to get my message across through the sons of thunder, because there will be people that's going to be in your village will hear thunder, but then there's my sons of thunder. I'm raising up, going to hear my voice.
Come on. Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
the whole, I mean, just the magnificence of Yah's plan that will come forth in this time to say, I'm getting my message across through the sons of thunder. And I'm raising them up in places that the religious complex system thinking this is how it's done. But I'm going to raise somebody up that's working in a supermarket.
Come on now. They're going to hear the sound of the trumpet. They're going to hear the thunder. But they're going to hear the voice of the thunder, not just the sound of the thunder.
Yes. And so the maturity, because now we see the immaturity of the religious complex system. We see the immaturity.
Yeah.
They only prophesying part. They're repeating other prophets. You know how many people I have heard on through the social media prophesy what somebody else prophesied?
Come on now. Come on.
And it's so predictable.
It's predictable.
But we are now, the seventh thunder is coming forth. The sound of the trumpet by the spirit of the prophet of Yah and not the prophet of Baal.
Listen. Now the environments is a worldwide language. Everybody understands environments. Whether they realize it or not, they understand it. There's predictability about their environment. So when a son of Yah steps into an environment, and this takes me back to something that you said about, going to the different parts of the world, and everybody's really excited about that. And their excitement is in the wrong thing, though, really, because I often say this, that they have yet to take him to the nations. They haven't taken Yah to the nations. They've taken things. They've taken their systems, their industrial systems. They haven't taken him. They think because they go over there and they open their Bible and they say some words, they took him. No. You've taken him when you've been down and touched that ground, and elements that are not common to that space show up for the wealth of the land. You are taking him when you step into a place of darkness and light begins to rule and reign. You're taking him when the nation's system of monarchs begin to bow because you've taken up space in the desert and you're flourishing. You've taken him when you created a whole nother environment for people to see this is Yah. This is Yah. You understand what I'm saying? Who got their
Yeah.
line open? That's when you've taken him. When they don't just see the things that you brought, but they see the one that you're carrying. That's when you've taken him. Not just because you were kind to people, you were loving, you knew how to communicate, you patted people on the head. Not, no, no. When you handling the witch doctor in that region, you've taken him. When you, like Paul, tell the woman that's following you or the people that's coming to the space that you're in to communicate with the people, the parables and the things of Yah, opening them up to another dimension, and they're sitting in the back with their knives and their stuff. When you tell them to shut up and they can no longer operate in their sorcery, you've taken him. When the people of that village that worship other deities bring their books and bring their ideas and their concepts to the middle of that village and burn it, you've taken him. When the economic system shifts and the minds and the hearts of the people have returned back to Yah, you haven't taken him until they've returned. You haven't taken him. You're taking food, but then when you leave, they're going to be hungry again. Think about this. You've taken him. I showed you guys this image before of the man that went into that jungle space, and the jungle space, the Father had given him something very specific, and the jungle space began to flourish. I'm sorry, the desert space began to flourish like a jungle, but it was food that was being grown. You've taken him. When you take a dry, arid place, just like Yitzchak did. He said, don't leave here. No, you're not going to go the same route your dad did. That was fine. It wasn't against any rule or law that he did it the way he did it. But he said, Yitzchak, for you, my language in this season is that you sow in the dry place to see the abundance that turns into a place that's living waters. That's why he had to go dig all the wells. Digging the wells wasn't enough, though. Now he needed to be able to get that water to the places that it needed to go. So he had to actually build an irrigation system. But we don't look into it that far because we're just looking on the surface. He redug the wells for what? We know that you can go into areas with wells, and we know that the marketplace happens at wells. So he began to create a flourishing system just by digging the wells, but he had to deal with an irrigation system that would establish that space. I don't know if you've ever seen these mountains, right? But they start growing on the mountain, around the mountain. And what's happening is that the water, the way they've set up the irrigation system is that the water is coming down, in old times. Now, because it's flourishing, of course, we know that the roots go deeper and deeper and they tap into water tables. And so they don't have to wait as long for the refreshing of the rain, right? But the bigger picture is what the Father's calling us to. It's the bigger picture. We're looking at things with our natural eyes that we need to be seen from a spiritual place. But because we have not respected the natural faculty, right? Because here's how the Father does the thing. He gives us governors and tutors. And what happens is he says, I want to put you over. So eyes, you are over this body. You are one of the navigation systems of this body. And how they use this navigation system is going to determine what they're going to step into, not just naturally, but spiritually, right? So the eyes are the natural eyes we use, and they have a place. I keep saying they have a place. It's not like they don't have a place. However, as a son, we've got to step over into the matured place, which is the eye. And if you notice, that's the thing that everybody in darkness discusses, the eye, right? They want to discuss the all-seeing eye. They want to discuss the third eye. But notice they're not talking about eyes. They're talking about eye and eye. And the world is so busy railing on what they're talking about, they don't see the prophetic word in it. They don't see the bigger picture because they're operating from a flesh perspective instead of seeing, oh, I see it. Yep. Because if I know that the children of this age are wiser than the children of light, if I know that that's the declaration of Yah, then I also recognize that there's something in what they're saying that I'm supposed to see. But only in my maturity do I see it as not um, just entertainment, and or do I see it not as just, oh, they're wicked. I know they are wicked. That's the spirit that they operate from, is wickedness. It's twisted. But when you understand something twisted, if you untwist it, you can see the whole picture, right? And the industrial complex of church and religion are still operating in a part, in pieces. They're on a different line. They're on a different channel. You understand? So they're only getting the parts and pieces, but on the channel that is tuned into the mind of Yah, we get the totality. We get the whole of something, and not just the parts and pieces anymore. I was sharing with somebody that I love dearly that there's a maturing process. They're gonna hear this today because I was gonna say this, and I'll probably talk with them later about it again if they hear this. But there is a maturing process, and we don't know as we need to know. That's why we use words like something or it or I noticed or I don't know. We use these phrases because we do not know the completeness of something in an immature state. And here's the truth of the matter. Just because the Father reveals something doesn't mean we know it. We don't have intimate relationship with it. Peter's a perfect example of that. To know something but not know it. To perceive something but not have the totality of it until a time of maturation. Right? So the Father will use us and show us things, but we have to grow in the showing so that we grow in the knowing, because we're going from being shown and seen or noticing something to growing in the knowing of the thing, which gives us a more in-depth and a more intimate relationship with everything we come into contact with. We know our enemy different. We see the brethren different. We're looking at bodies now, not based on their physicality, but based on the spirituality. You understand, Prophet Marlise? I know you got something to say. I'm gonna put up what you said over here. Prophet Marlise, can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
There you
Thought
are.
I taken the mute off. But you were speaking and saying about when you enter into a place or enter into um, an environment, and having the sight, the spiritual sight, to be able to see what is needed, and then bringing that into the physical for change, for transformation of a place, or causing people to give up what is wicked for what is right,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to see in the spiritual realm, to see how having that understanding, that level, like you said, level of maturity, but the level of understanding how Yah speaks, and how he speaks to you in the spiritual realm, what he shows you about that environment, knowing how to
Mm-hmm.
maneuver, knowing how to handle the individuals in that space
Mm-hmm.
from a spiritual realm perspective, to bring about a change in the physical,
Yeah. Yeah.
to bring about, growth, to bring about, expansion in the way that it should be, and not necessarily in the way that they were thinking. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times they could be partially on the right track, half and half, straddling, not
That's that
knowing that that's what it is.
part. In part. Yeah. Still in part.
And they're commingling things. They're adapting and adopting things that they should not. And they're
Mm-hmm.
calling it what's right. And so, coming into that space and being able to see spiritually on what it is that is needed to be addressed for truth transformation
Yeah.
is essential,
It's
because we can go into a place we can see, but knowing how to maneuver from the spiritual
Mm,
to the physical, to bring about a change and a manifestation of change in the people,
yes.
for them to be more aligned with Yah, or come, you understand, or to be able to mature in Yah.
So here's
But
the thing. So here's the thing. So it's not our job to bring forth the manifestation in them. I understand what you're saying, but I want to just clear this up so that the language of it is right. Okay, if you will, prophet. It's not our job to bring forth the manifestation in them. It's our job to manifest in the environment the glory of Yah. Because it's men's job to see his good works and then glorify him. In other words, what we do, how we move, all these things are redirecting the signs, if you will, for them to navigate that road to see his goodness and to see who he is, and to make note of the fact that how they are moving is quite contrary to the reality of what the Father is doing. And then they align. So I would use Elijah, for example, right? He's on the mount. He's challenging the prophets, right? 450 of Baal and Asherah's prophets, 400, right? It's not his job to change their mind, but it is his job to manifest the glory of Yah in the midst of them and to declare to them, you need to make a decision. Let's see who the God of fire is. The one that answers by fire, he is God. He's the God of gods. Period. I'm making this declaration before you. You're going to see this, and then you're going to have to make a decision. Right? And this is what happens. Even the altar that he constructs, he takes it beyond the altar that he gave them, pouring water on it 3 times, which makes it very difficult for it to be combustible because water and fire only create smoke. Water on a sacrifice is only going to create a smoky situation. But the heavens consume everything. The dust even is consumed. The rocks, the water, everything that he set on that altar was consumed. And this is when the people noticed, okay, yeah, we're going to switch sides. And I'm still baffled by the fact that he left there alone. That's a whole nother conversation. But they did see that day. He left there alone, but they did see that day because it was something that he brought to the environment. Sometimes it's something that's said that's the bringing. Sometimes it's a way of moving. That's the language. You know, some of the prophets had to lay in the street, or some of the prophets had to go on journeys to go to other nations. Some of the prophets had to create things on the ground that people could come by and see. They had to do all kinds of things that were prophetic signals for people to be able to ponder in their mind, I wonder, or to even ask the question, what is that? What are you doing? Noah built an ark. It's something that we bring into an environment for people to see that aligns with what the Father is saying. And sometimes we have to stay in that environment for a moment, and we're saying a thing that they are not seeing yet. So they're measuring it by something else, right? They're measuring something with another rod instead of the rod of the word. They're measuring it by their world systems. So then when the Father comes back and releases a thing and shows a thing in a different way, they're like, like that's beyond even where I am. That's beyond even what I possess. So now what? Whose God is God? Go ahead, prophet. I just want to clear that up for them and make sure that the language of that was clear. That is not our job. And sometimes what happens with prophets, particularly, especially churched prophets, because the term prophet is not for church. It's for a people that the Father, whatever the people is, they could be in a space like that because we know the master went to the synagogue for to teach. So it could be that they are sent into a space like that because everybody needs to see the light. Everybody needs to see the light of Yah in every place. And he's going to make sure that it's seen in every place. Go ahead, prophet.
yes, so I mean, but that basically that was what I was was actually saying. So you
Yeah,
got to
that's why I
explain it
was
a little
pretty
more.
clear.
So
I knew that's what you were saying. I
yes,
knew
so
that's
that was it.
mm, yeah. I knew that's what you were saying, and so that's why I brought clarity to it because what church prophets struggle with is I want to make them see. It's not about making them see. It's not about it's not about that. It's about becoming the son that you need to be in an environment for people to be able to get glimpses because they're only going to see as they are able to believe, right? Their belief system, the way it's set up, is going to allow them to see how they see. You can't force them into another sight. You just have to keep revealing through what the Father is giving you to do or say him in that environment. And at some point, somebody gonna have an aha moment, you know? Somebody gonna be like, aha, and okay, now I see this and I see this, and these two things are not lining up. They're not the same. I see the fruit of this, but I'm not seeing the fruit of this because this is keeping me in a circular pattern. It's putting me in a cycle, and there's nothing wrong with circular pattern as long as you're winding up. Because you're circling up. There's a spiraling that happens in the realms of life, and it's an upward spiral when we're moving in the divine things. But then there's this downward spiral when we're not moving in the divine things. And Apostle brought this out, which is such a powerful point, that he said, I'm going to today create this judge and jury for you. The earth is going to be a witness against you. If you're operating in a way that is opposite, then the earth is going to be a witness against you. It's going to testify that you're going in the wrong direction. And many people don't understand. We don't get to the seven thunders before these 3 days are out. Many people do not recognize the earth's testimony. The earth will testify against you or for you. So what I'm talking about when I say, have you been introduced? So if you're introduced to the earth, then you understand the voice of the earth. You understand the voice of these things. This is how Elijah understood which voice he should listen to on the mount when he was called out of that cave onto the cliff of that cave. It was a lot of stuff going on. There were a lot of voicings being made, but it was the still small voice for him in that moment. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's a loud, boisterous voice. Understand, if we get stuck in it's a still small voice, that's not always the case. Sometimes it is a thunder, and sometimes it's very loud. I don't know about anybody else, but I've been on a path before, and the Father yelled at me. I could hear the yelling. The voice that I was hearing was boisterous. It wasn't quiet. You understand? So we have these little areas where we kind of create um, we create a doctrine around it. Oh, it's the still small voice. Or sometimes it's very loud. Sometimes it's very boisterous. The way that you identify the thing is by the knowing. Who are you related to? How do you know them? It's by relationship. So if I know Yah by relationship, I don't have to decipher. I know his voice when he speaks. I know he uses thunder. I know he uses lightning. I know he uses all kinds of things. But if I don't hear his voice in that, which is what Elijah's position was, he said he wasn't in the thunder. Not this time. he wasn't in the fire. Not this time, but he was in the fire in the bush. You see what I'm saying? So this is identifying the bigger picture happens in maturity, because outside of maturity, you only take the parts and pieces and make doctrines out of them. But the bigger picture as a son, you understand there's a collective. And so that there are many voicings and many languages, but it's still Yah speaking. But he chooses in that moment by what element he's going to speak by, what language he's going to use in that moment. Apostle Ace?
Yes, and that is, and what I'm getting and what it is just be. What
Just
what
be.
be is.
Just be.
And so You know, a lot of times we say we becoming, we
That's
becoming, we becoming.
that's
So at
constant.
some point, so at some point we will be what we talk about. We becoming. We have to be. When we become just being, then I am the smoke. What I what I saw tangibly, and God
Yeah.
showed, and that was, He showed by smoke. So where we're at now by the spirit of those things is being. And when we begin to be, we become who he is, that he spoke, who we are in image and likeness of who he is.
That's it.
We just be. And when we are being, then all the things he showed us tangibly, then we are that by the spirit of it. And he operated, and as you were saying, many languages and many ways that he shows who he is. And I was just thinking about how the church world, they hear a smooth, soft voice. Well, the devil could do that. And the
He
enemy
can
can
do
do
that
that
too.
too.
That's it.
A small voice. So as you were saying, God he deals with us in many languages and how he deals with us and speaks to us, and yet it is him. And when we come into the knowing, then I know that's his voice. I know him by his word, and I know him by his voice.
Yes.
And it's important to know him by both his word, the law, and his voice, the spirit to the law.
My God.
If I, one can't go without the other. So when
Mm-mm.
they do come together, now we just be. Now
Woo.
I am, he said, Yah is a consuming fire. If I'm
Yeah,
in his image and likeness, then I'm consuming fire.
that's it. Now go back to what you just said. You said something about um when it's something that you said right before this consuming fire piece. And I wanted to weigh in on that because you were talking about um mm, it was almost like you were going in this direction of the weight of a thing, you know, um,
Mm-hmm.
weighing in on the personality of who Yah is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when we weigh in on the personality of who He is, then we recognize that we be that we see,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then we are the reason why the becoming is there is because we are ever becoming who He
Yeah.
is and what we see as a representation of Him in
Absolutely.
the earth.
Absolutely.
As a
Absolutely.
representation. Now it's funny that you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned this bee thing because I noticed something. There's a pattern, and this pattern happens. If you'll notice it, one of the ways that I notice it is because I see my posts um, from Facebook. You know the memories, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
on the 13th of this month, which was yesterday, I noticed a post that I posted December 13th in another year, and the conversation was right where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this build up, you know, because we talk about the prophetic cognition. When we begin to have the cognitive ability to receive the prophetic, we begin to declare it, right? To see it. And so
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I said, Yah wants to change your sight today.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see or perceive anything you don't believe. And the reason I put B in big letters is because that's what your belief produces. Your
Mm-hmm.
belief produces your be life. Okay? Your belief produces your established being. And so I decreed and declared even then your be life. Be now because you believe. Okay?
Your
This is
belief
where we
produces your established being.
are.
So I decreed and declared even then your be life.
Somebody playing me back to me.
Now,
I'm declaring and declaring your be life because you believe. Just be. We're at 1 minute and 7 minutes. Go ahead, Prophet Marlise, in 1 minute. What you want to say to the people as we're leaving out?
Know that what you see in the spiritual needs to be seen in the physical,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be through the action, the deeds, or through
Conversation.
your conversation. Hmm.
Yeah. What you see in the divine space, it needs to become a divine reality in your life.
Because it has to be that light. It has
Yeah,
to be the lighthouse. It has to be the bright
absolutely.
thunder. Because you
Yeah.
say, they saw thunder.
Ain't that amazing?
So the frequency, the
Yeah.
vibration, the flow, the wave,
Yes.
they need to
And
be able
on
to
that
see.
note, you're saying the seeing and hear this seeing or saying, right? That thunder, when we see it in Revelation, it's heard. But that thunder, when we see it in Deuteronomy, it's seen. So this is that voicing, the Father choosing how to use the voicing. Apostle, in in a minute, what can you say to the people?
I'm just excited to come to when it comes to the conclusion of the 111 days. I'm excited.
I am absolutely excited.
I'm
Haven't we seen some amazing things in these last,
absolute. Oh my goodness.
man? When I tell you some things have reopened to the sons, and it's so amazing. I'm going to share this with you guys before I get off, because of the things that are opening. I'm studying in things that I've always studied. I'm going back to those things to really more intently in this moment get this thing, because I got to know what to do with what the Father is doing, right? And so it's absolutely amazing. I was sitting yesterday and I was, in my time of conversation with him, I said, Father, I need your wisdom. And you promised that you would not hold anything back. And I began to tell him the things that I needed the wisdom for. And lo and behold, I go online looking for something specific because I come across something, and I'm going to read that as well. Um, and I found it, but I didn't find it in the form that I needed to find it in. So lo and behold, I start just typing. So when I tell you steps are ordered, steps are ordered. In other words, this process that we're going through as sons, as long as we are activated in the process, we are being ordered, or it's an orchestrated thing for him. And so I leave off of that particular book that I was looking for, and I just start typing things in. I typed some things in. I typed in one word, pulled up some books, and said, no, that's not it. Typed in another word, pulled up some books, and I'm sitting there looking at them. I'm not thinking, okay, now I'm going to look. It's an orchestration, because we're in movement, because we're in momentum. We're following a direction, and we're trusting him in the direction that we're going. We already, submitted ourselves to him, submitted our ways to him, and now he's directing the path. And so I'm looking on this page, and out of all these books that's on the page, right? That's that thing. Out of all of this that I'm looking at, I click on the thing, and it is exactly what I was asking him for. Exactly. On a page of at least 100 something books. It is exactly what I asked for. Now, how would I have known? I would not. But the Holy Spirit in me knows the mind of Yah to point me in the direction to the thing that's going to give me the mind, the express image of what I asked for. You understand? So listen, we love you guys. We got a few more days. I'm going to send you guys a link tomorrow. I'm going to bring you on. We're going to have some conversations about the seeing and the mind of Yah, the manifested mindset. And I'm excited to have these conversations with you. Listen, the body's not a me thing. It's a we thing. We'll see you in the morning at 5 a.m. Blessings to the house of the sons of Yah. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
So